Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Milk and Mummies. Today, I'm sitting down with the amazing founders behind 4Mamas, an incredible organization that's changing the way we care for mothers. From fertility to postpartum, they offer expert-led retreats and personalized healthcare packages that really put mamas at the center of everything. We'll talk about what real support looks like, how to take care of yourself at every stage of the motherhood journey, and why rest is truly revolutionary. So let's get into it. Hi.
Hi.
That's what it is. How are you guys doing today?
Good. Thank you for having us.
Not a problem at all. I guess diving straight into everything, I guess this must be a question you get all the time, but what inspired the creation of 4Mamas? Was there a personal moment that sparked it, or was there a gap in the market that made you think about this?
It's a combination of both.
Yeah.
Yes. My journey started being an osteopath.
Okay.
And I've been seeing patients for over a decade now. And I'm seeing a lot of pre and postnatal women.
Okay.
And around this field of women health. So I struggled with my patient because they were all coming and they wanted answer that I was not able to give to them.
Okay.
Not in terms of like, do you know this? Yes, of course I can answer that. But more in terms of like, I wanted the whole network to support them.
All right.
From the white coats OB people to the most, doula who can support in a very different care.
Yeah.
And that's how I was like, I want to create something when we all together and we can really support the mother or the woman going through their journey.
Yeah.
And I think that's, the point of the mother is, my personal experience was, I had my first baby. I was coming from a very different industry. And everything was focused on the baby. The antenatal classes, all about the baby, changing the nappies and the color of the poo and everything. But I was like, what about me?
Yeah.
Like I was, going through lots of changes, especially after that, postpartum. Off you go after one night at the hospital, sometimes the day of your labor.
Yes, that's true.
And the support ended there, So I think it was also creating that focus and shifting the focus back onto mothers.
I run them through 4Mamas, but when a patient comes to me, I ask hell of a detail, like how many times do you go to the bathroom, and I think they're like, oh my God, no one asked me this.
Okay, fair enough.
So I really wanted something that was like gonna liberate all the taboo and they will be comfortable and we can find the practitioner or the service that they really need for that because we're not all the same.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. I'm also gonna just be annoying because I've just started the podcast and I haven't introduced my guests to you. Just so ridiculous. So Morgan, Olivia, do you want to tell us a bit about yourselves and what you do? Classic.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Olivia, I am a new mum. I just have 2 kids. I'm a mother of a little girl called Gaia, who is 4, and my boy who is Ivo, 6 months.
6
and
months.
I guess I started saying that first because it's really redefining me. But I've been working since 2010 as an osteopath. Wow. And I love my job. Yeah. And I'm really happy to be here and doing something outside of, just my 2 kids.
Yeah.
And I'm Morgan. I'm also a mum of 2.
Yeah.
I have a 2-year-old called Andrea, and I had another baby girl, Antonia, 4 months ago.
Yeah.
So very much, living the 4Mamas experience.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And I used to work in production.
Okay.
Producing TV series and documentaries. Cool. And now I'm running all the operational side at 4Mamas. Well, Olivia is really like the woman health focus and expert.
Got you. Yeah. Oh my goodness. How are you finding it all juggling 2 children each and maintaining the business?
It's hard. For me, it's sometimes feeling like I'm not doing everything well, trying to do everything at the same time and struggling at doing everything properly.
Yeah.
Something I've tried and done recently, which work, is really separate things. When you say be in the present moment, I always hated that sentence.
Okay.
But actually, and now I understand what it means. It means like when I'm playing with my kids after school, I don't have my phone. And like I'm really focusing on her and playing with her. Whereas when I'm working, I'm trying to be in a different room. Even if my baby is crying, I know someone is taking care of her and I'm really trying to stay focused on work and not having the baby and trying to do an email. And because otherwise it's a bit challenging.
Yeah.
But it's exciting because I don't know for you, but I feel it's a lot, but it's all positive experiences.
Okay.
You know, like motherhood is hard, but also amazing. For Mamas is starting to really pick up and grow, and it's really exciting to see.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And so, yes, it's tiring and sometimes hectic, but it's also really amazing to see everything grow.
I think what is so nice as well, I mean, for me, is I've been self-employed for a long time, and this is the same with 4Mama, is we can work at our pace.
Yeah.
And I would really like to say to anyone who's listening to us, you know, when you work for a company, I don't know, I never worked for a company, but I'm sure you have more passive moments. I don't have any passive moments.
Yeah,
my life is like active.
Yeah.
So, you know, and actually, I don't know if she's going to listen to this podcast, but I had a friend of mine, she had twins. I mean, she ran the show, right? And she was working for this company. I'm like, after COVID, they're like, damn, they're asking me to come back for 9 o'clock. And she was, she was commuting. She was like, working. And I was like, how? If they know you, how? They know that you're going to be here at 10. And if you have to open your laptop in the evening, you will do. And I think this is a key. I think it's like becoming a mom and being self-employed. You own your responsibilities.
Yeah.
So you get things done.
Yeah.
And yes, you need a bit of structure, but you get things done. And it's very rewarding.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely feel like motherhood has... Yes, I'm also self-employed. I've definitely worked in the corporate space as well, but you're definitely now more focused. As you said, your time is limited, or your time is just having to be restructured in a very different way. So you know when your windows are as best as you can. But it's true, you have to be very focused.
Yep.
I have a friend who's like, also another mum, but she's like, with her experience now, she's like, she is so open and would prefer to hire mums for her company because I know they're going to get the job done and it's going to be concentrated and focused, and then that's it, you know?
They have to deliver because it does just happen this way.
Yeah.
How amazing is that to realize that you're adding someone in your life which is already busy and it's just you get even more things done.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's not necessarily the way that it's framed to you. You're a mum, so now you might go home, or you're a mum, or you can't do this and the other, or oh, you're a mum, so maybe you can't come and do X, Y, and Z. And it's like, it's
I'm way more efficient.
Crazy. Who would have guessed it? Who would have known? But going back to 4Mamas, can you tell us, I guess, what makes 4Mamas different when it comes to traditional maternal care?
Lots of things. My opinion would be we try and bridge the gap between holistic and medical.
Nice. Okay.
So it's not just, a very holistic approach to pregnancy, labor, postpartum. We really try and combine different expertise, nutrition, acupuncture, doulas, but we also have midwife, obstetrician, GPs.
Yeah.
And it's trying to find also that personalized approach. So not that one size fits all. So whether you come to us for a bespoke package or just some advice on, what to do, who to see, we're going to try and make sure it's really tailored to your needs and your concerns.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I think often we get confused with the concierge.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
okay.
I think it's deeper than that. I mean, I've been saying, like, I'll sit with you for 45 minutes. And as I say, like, do a case history from top to bottom, ask you if you have staircase. Do you remember I asked you those questions? Because it will matter on your recovery, on your life organization. So I think once we have kind of like pinpoint the needs of the person, we can really provide them what they need. Do they just need cooking? Do they just need, a network of people? And I think that was make the difference with 4Mamas.
Yeah. And it's focused on the mom. It's really focused on the mom.
Yeah, which already I think sets you apart in a very, very different way.
Yeah,
which is amazing. With both of your pregnancies, were you able to? Yes, you know what this company is and what it does. That's great. Were you able to apply any of that to your everyday on each other? Or were you able to figure out, okay, this is missing or that is missing? How can we incorporate a bit more of those things?
I'm just going to share my personal experience with my two daughters. So firstborn, where I realized there was a gap and I was very disappointed by the maternity care system in the UK.
Okay.
And also I felt really unprepared.
Okay.
So I did antenatal classes, but again, very baby-centered. And when I arrived on my postpartum journey, if I didn't have Olivia, to be honest with you, I don't know how I would have coped. Because I felt so overwhelmed and trapped. And I had emotions I didn't know I could have and felt very guilty for feeling them.
Yeah.
My labor was a bit complicated.
Okay.
And again, I was not really prepared about all of this. Second one, of course, I had the first one, so things are different.
Yeah.
But because I did all these retreats and I heard all of these experts, I felt so much prepared. And different things happened with the second that I was just, more empowered and more prepared. I just knew, and I remembered what this expert say on this retreat. And I remember, I struggled with my breastfeeding again. I knew exactly who to call at that moment because I had that network already. And I felt more supported and cared for just because I knew who to reach out to and when. And I had, that knowledge. With things happening. So just my 2 pregnancies felt different thanks to 4 mamas.
Got you. Yeah. Okay. How about yourself, Olivia?
I guess my journey a little bit different. I got my first baby through COVID. So it was way for anyone isolating. I had to stop working at week 12 and my work was really defining me. And I had a bit of the effect of like, I'm a professional, so I know what's going to happen.
Yeah, of course.
So I had a very nice, I would say I had a very nice birth experience. And I will say my pregnancy was not what I expected at all.
Okay.
Because I was, it was lockdown and stuff as well.
Yeah.
And then now that I have 4 mamas, I'm, like the second time, my birth didn't go as planned as I expected. And it was amazing. I had so much support. I think I had friends and people coming to my house for like 2 months every day with food. Wow. Like I didn't have to cook for 2 days, for 2 months. So I think that's quite incredible. It's really, and I think the deeper layer for Mama is we really want to change the mindset to people, to make them realize that supporting people with services and and food and treatment is way better than another blanket.
Or rabbit.
You both touched on different things there. You've mentioned retreats and you've mentioned packages. I don't know how easy it is to do, but if you were to, are you able to give an example of what a retreat is like at the 4 Mamas and what like the health packages can also include?
So we have 2 offerings. The retreats, they are basically antenatal classes, a bit reimagined, redefined.
Okay.
So instead of a 6-week course, it's a 1-day retreat in London. We host for now at the One Hotel Mayfair. And so 1 day is focused on one of the stages of the motherhood journey. So we have 1 day focused on fertility, the conception journey, 1 day on pregnancy, 1 day on birth and labor, and 1 day on postpartum.
Okay.
In 1 day, you meet 5 women health experts from different expertise who are going to prepare you on what to expect during that journey. So again, very woman-centered, very guilt-free. It's a conversation. It's not like a PowerPoint presentation. It's a very nice setting. And you'll have, for example, the postpartum, you'll have an antenatal teacher teaching you all the, tricks and tips for the first months with your baby. You'll have a breastfeeding consultant. You have a nutritionist who's going to talk to you about the nutrition you need. To recover from labor. You'll have an osteopath who will teach you about your pelvic floor recovery. You'll have a physio who will talk to you about C-section care or vaginal care after you've had your labor. So it's really a full day of learning, but again, it's also a day of self-care. So you'll have a fitness session or yoga, sound healing, breathing workshop. You'll have an amazing lunch, breakfast, snacks. The food is really good. So in addition to being a day of learning, and it's also a day of self-care, a day for yourself. So you connect with other women who's, going through the same stage, going through the same thing. And you meet ideally expert who you can see after that. And this is where the packages comes in. It's where whether you have done the retreat or not, you can come to us, have a consultation with Olivia, 60 up to 90 minutes. And we are going to create a bespoke package based on your needs. So you can say, listen, I don't want to pay 20,000 K to go and give birth privately. I'm very happy to give birth at the NHS. However, maybe I would love an extra scan, or maybe seeing an obstetrician once, or having all my pelvic floor recovery included once I've given birth. I would love some nutrition support, or maybe seeing an acupuncturist to, help with some, nausea or other symptoms you might have. So we are going to create that bespoke package for you and try and, tailor something to kind of support you during that journey.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
What I want to say is to add, but it's super woman centered. So we hosted the last retreat on Saturday, and we have this amazing speaker, Claire Bourne. She's a pelvic health physio. We talked about everything. We talked about intercourse, hemorrhoid. We went for it. And it's not. Then there's a certain dynamic, and everyone really opens, and it's so great because then you realize that some certain stuff are not normal. What I think is really nice about those retreats is you get an hour with a practitioner. Do you know, you get a full hour with an OB. An OB will, talk to you for... It doesn't happen. Then,
It doesn't.
And that's so amazing because there's so much you can, take and then you can add or remove and be like, okay, right. What I'm doing is actually quite okay, and we have this system, NHS, and they can, the birth and there's the system is good.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But you can also, it's an amazing opportunity for you to take responsibility and decide how you want to live it.
No, it's true. I did obviously, for me and my birth, I did everything at the NHS. Shout out to Homerton Hospital, amazing. I know everybody's experiences are very different, but I think with things like this, it's also fantastic to know what you can add on to your current healthcare route that you're taking, if that makes sense. And as you've mentioned, you have an hour, the time that you have with certain experts aren't necessarily what you'd be able to have at the NHS, say. So to know that that's accessible to you, that's amazing. And I think this is one of the things with For Mamas that I really like. It's just reminding people that you have things available to you or accessible to you.
And people don't know, you're
precisely.
right. So many people don't know there are breastfeeding consultant if you struggle to breastfeed, or that you need to do, scar massages and
just
pelvic
a second
floor
opinion.
recovery.
Yeah.
Just a second opinion.
Precisely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's things like this to me feel really vital, really key. Just know the resources are available to you. You make your appointments and go from there. Do what suits you and your routine.
Yes.
But they are available to you, and I think that's the thing that's key. Because with me, breastfeeding was. It just took a minute to reset, and I knew that was going to be a bit tricky for me because I think no matter what people say to you, you don't really know it until you're doing it and trying to understand what a latch should feel like and how your baby's going to be, all that kinds of stuff. So I was lucky that I had a children's centre close to me that really helped with that. It was a free session you can go to, etc., etc. But I had to do research to do that. People didn't kind of freely say that to me. So it's just knowing what's available.
Imagine if you had a lunch with a nutritionist who will tell you, okay, you have that, but that part of nutrition, it's so important.
Yes.
You're going to run a marathon every day. So make sure you have this. And then, you will have prepare your meal too, a month before. Imagine, it's a big part because we all challenge those women, okay, breastfeed, but we don't provide them the whole structure around it. And one of the biggest structure is to eat well and to 100%. Sleep well.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That's so key. I'm just shaking my head because it's again, trying to understand how to breastfeed. If you're getting stressed, that affects the amount of milk that you're producing. So what to do, how well to eat. That's so key. It was that was stuff that I needed. And then things that I had to find while I was on the journey. But if I had the chance to prepare with the resources that are available, then I would have been able to know how to structure that better. I think
the issue we found at the moment is women who have had children before. They're like, oh my God, it's amazing. I wish I had that or did your retreats or anything like this. They know the importance of, that support network, that village everyone talks about.
Yes, the village.
But first time mom, it's really hard to say, I'm going to struggle. So I'm going to need that knowledge beforehand. Yeah. I think there is kind of when you're trying to conceive or are pregnant for the first time, and it's normal that you kind of shuts in your head all the ideas that it's going to be hard or you're not going to succeed or you might have a difficult postpartum or, not the birth that you expect. And it's fine, it's okay. But I think there is still a big, we still need to educate the market in a way that having that knowledge will empower you to go through and navigate these phases of your life way more, naturally and easier.
But also, I feel we spend, people who get married spend a year. They have, PowerPoints on which buggy to get.
Yeah.
But if you had a PowerPoint on which meal to prepare, it's so funny because don't get me wrong, I did it. I asked the PowerPoint of everyone for my first child.
Yeah.
My second one, he's very limited on what I bought for him. But I was like, bring on the food, like help me with the chore at home. And, for Mama right now is in London, and in London there's a lot of expats. So I had this idea of the village. Half of my friends don't have it. Half of my patients don't have it.
Yeah.
They're French, they're Russian, they're Italian, they're Spanish. So we need to make sure, it's like, thank you for the village, but my mom is
all the way back home here or all over there. Yeah,
exactly.
No, I understand
so
that,
this is what we're trying to bring on with For Mama, is finding them adapted solution to people.
Yeah. Has this been a difficult business to create or set up? Like having to reframe or re-educate people on how they view the motherhood journey into things?
I think we're still
working on it. Yeah. I would say there is way more awareness around motherhood and, the support mothers need.
Yeah.
I think the conversation is opening up, and that's great, but we're still miles from what, we could do, companies could do, the healthcare system could do. So, but we're here to push that conversation forward, so.
I think it's ongoing. I think it's, like we know we had the last few retreats, they were really successful, and it's like, people are like, oh my God, this is so informative, so it's like, it's starting slowly
to pick up. Yeah, there's a momentum around.
We had a retreat where they were not at the same time, and she was like, one woman was 30 weeks and the other one was like 15 weeks. You're like,
okay.
We were running the pregnancy one, and she was like, you have no idea how lucky you are to have those insight now.
Right. Yeah.
know.
Got you.
So it's getting there.
Yeah. So it must be amazing to see the immediate value that people are getting from this, and being able to freely say that to someone else or to recommend it. That's incredible.
And you went to this children's center, but imagine if you had, like, even, within the NHS, 2 hours where someone was saying, okay, you're going to be able to do that. You're going to be able to do that. You don't know until it happened. It doesn't. And I remember on my second birth, I had a 4-kilo baby. And the physio come to me. I think I delivered at 4 in the afternoon.
Okay.
And at 10 in the morning, the guy come, like this guy, hey, my name is, your physiopelvic health expert. Was like, okay.
Yeah.
You can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this. Now I was like, okay, thanks, Chris, not now. Please, no offense against you, but do you know what I mean? Like, I think with For Mama, we're really trying to anticipate how we're going to be able to help people.
Okay. Yeah, no, fair enough. Rather than making you feel like you can't, just as you've just delivered the baby, it's making you, as you said, pre-plan, be prepared. You touched on, I think, fertility before. When it comes to people's fertility journey, how do you? Yes, you support mothers all the way from fertility to postpartum, but what do you think often gets missed or overlooked in that journey of things?
Lifestyle.
Okay, yeah, lifestyle.
Yeah, I think people. Once knowledge, understanding how long is it to not have the period, what does it mean to be infertile? People don't really know. But the easy way in is to go to the fertility clinic.
Okay.
And we live in a world where we're very impatient. And from what we've seen, my friends, and, you quickly go to very invasive procedures because, you were told from... your teenage years, like, don't get pregnant. Be careful, don't get pregnant.
Of course. That's the big message that is drummed at you.
And then you try and get pregnant and you're like, I don't understand. I thought I was going to get pregnant easily. And because you don't succeed in getting pregnant fairly fast, then you go and do stuff without the knowledge of how your body works. All the other things, you can do before going to IVF or egg retrieval. If you need them, of course. But there are steps and stuff you can do beforehand. So this is where we're trying to help in the fertility and conception spaces, trying to bring that 360-degree perspective with nutrition, with more holistic methods. And to your question, what's missing is individual care. It's a very one-size-fits-all approach to fertility, but to pregnancy and postpartum care. Olivia and I were two different persons. We didn't have the same birth. We don't have the same lifestyle. We don't have the same, you're way more holistic and I'm way more medicalized, and we're going to be treated pretty much the same. But, our pregnancies were not the same. Our births were not the same. And I think that's the biggest issue with the healthcare system, not just in maternity, actually. It's that one-size-fits-all approach.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure you were going to say something.
No, I just think like fertility, I remember, what I see in clinic is a lot of impatience, a lot of misinformation of, how to do, when to do,
Yeah.
Don't be scared to speak to your GP or whoever you go, like whether it's NHS or private, like just shout out, say it, honestly, it's been 12 months we're trying, I'm tired, like just say it,
Yeah.
And also like a lot of misinformation, people relying on certain things that are just, so I'm having my app, it's like lay things out down and then we can look at what's going on, and often you will really see a lot of cues lifestyle that just been missed.
Okay.
So I think on your fertility journey, don't be scared, shout out before going to this IVF place, because once you're there, it's a loop, and there's a lot of things you can do on NHS. There's a lot of blood tests. There's a lot of things, and then you can add on. Come to one of the retreats, speak to this OB who's been specialized, this gynae, who has been specialized in fertility. Will tell you when to go and how. Most of them, no, this is not the right time. Wait a bit, Okay. And so
that's really good. I really wanted to try and understand how you make this, or how you help make this fertility journey or support that space and make it very sort of empowering or nurturing. And I think a lot of what you've just said kind of really covers that, where it's be vocal, speak about what you're going through and how you feel.
I had a patient that I've seen for a long time. She was like, we probably now we can say we're friends, and she listened to this podcast. And I remember her. She was like, we're thinking of having kids and stuff,
Yeah.
And then one day she came to me and she said, "No, we've been trying, and it's just not working."
Yeah.
I was like, "Okay, how long? Tell me." And I said, "Okay, now you're gonna go do this, this, and this," and things were really successful for her.
Yeah, that's amazing to hear.
We usually say with Olivia, you can spend thousands of money planning for a wedding, at least a year,
of course,
like everything. But when it comes to, creating life and becoming a mother, then, you spend no time or no money at all really taking care of yourself.
That's true. That's
and this is where the change needs to happen.
I'd never thought of it that way. It's true. Like when I look at all the other things that I would typically plan or put money into that I'm doing, it's true. When it came to us having a kid, we kind of planned it like, okay, maybe we're going to start now and kind of go from there. But any information that I needed, I had to do that research on the go. It wasn't stuff that I had sort of pre-planned. Maybe other people might plan their pregnancies and things differently, and that's totally fine. But it's true, I had to go looking for the info. I hadn't done the work of that before. So if I was to go again, it's definitely, I have had that mindset shift.
Yeah.
But it's true. We need, you plan the holiday, you plan the wedding, or you plan the new job or the move or whatever in a different way.
And maybe it's not as exciting. Maybe it's not like tangible, but definitely with For Mama, we have not all you want, but we have what exactly what we need, what you need for that moment. And I think it's
lots of information out there. You can find, you have ChatGPT, Google, Instagram for those who want, and it's hard to navigate.
Yes.
So your phone can give you all the information you want. With our retreats or consultations, we try and give you the information you need. That's how we see it.
And I think I won't be scared to, it's not going to be the same for everyone.
Yeah.
Like I won't be scared to say, okay, if you want this certain way of birthing, you might, this might be, this way, this birth might be, if you're impatient, go have the fertility treatment, but these are the side effects. So, I think we're not scared of maybe being
honest
to people, right? And I think that's really key.
And
that's
we have
really
a team. When Olivia says, it means like it's not just Olivia giving all of this advice. It's because but it's important to say, because I think we sometimes find that we can have someone giving all the care and information, and actually that's not possible. And sometimes you need that team that does different things, that village that can support in different ways.
Okay.
It's also what we're trying to
emphasize.
Is it difficult trying to blending the holistic approach with the medical approach as well at the same time? Is that quite difficult to do?
I don't think we have found it so difficult so far.
That's cool.
No. You know what? We had a birth retreat a couple of months ago, and the morning workshop is called, a planning for a positive birth experience.
Okay.
And we used to have one workshop or conversation led by a midwife and another one led by a doula. Mm-hmm. And actually what happened is they were both in the room and it started to be a joint conversation.
Okay, cool.
And it was so empowering and so amazing because, yes, the midwife was maybe a tiny bit more medical in terms of the length of the contractions or the stages of labor, stuff like this. And the doula would bring more of a holistic perspective on the labor. And it was really great to see how this conversation was going. And I remember, as I said, I'm way more like a medical mind. Mm-hmm. I learned so much from it, and it was great to have also this approach. However, someone who's also very holistic, she's going to have either the midwife or an obstetrician in the afternoon talking about ventus, forceps, emergency C-section, all of this. So even though she's planning for a home birth and, she doesn't want to think about all of this, it might happen.
Yeah, it's true.
And so she needs to hear it. And, we've been reading that most postpartum depression happens because you had a certain expectation of how you wanted your labor to happen. And of course, it rarely does happen exactly the way you want. And so it's just having that preparation beforehand. Yeah. So if it happens, at least you know why it's happening and how it's happening. Yeah. And you're not completely, taken off guard.
That was something I definitely found. I think I found that a bit difficult myself with my pregnancy, where I knew that I wanted to have a natural birth, vaginal birth, that's great, but I also knew that there was a possibility that it could go completely the other way. I have fibroids that I discovered while I was pregnant. And so I was just alerted to the fact that, maybe a water birth might not be the option for me, because if anything happens and I'm bleeding too much, I'm going to have to be rushed to the theatre. So I definitely had to understand, I'm planning for the birth that I want, but I understand that something could happen completely different on the day or in the moment. So we're going to have to shift and change. So it felt like I was planning for 2 births. I have my preference, but I know I need to be open to this. But it was still interesting trying to find that balance mentally of being open to everything, knowing what I want, trying not to be afraid of what could happen or what could go wrong if anything went wrong, and then trying not to attract that as well. So it was definitely an interesting headspace to kind of manage. It was a mess at times.
Do you think like
kind of
motherhood is a bit like this, no?
This
it's like
is true.
You suddenly you have to make choices that sometimes you're like, it's not what I would have planned, but it's
you just have to roll with it, and that's what it is. Everything will be fine. Get the support that you need as and when, but it is, I often call it sometimes beautiful chaos, because it really is just all the things up in the air at the same time. But then it's amazing, and then also actually it's fine, like it's totally fine, and you've survived it. It's great. So that is true. That's what motherhood is.
I think survive is a good word.
I'm good with that. But when it comes to all things birthing and pregnancy, in your line of work now, how do you see it affect mothers' sense of identity from what you've been able to witness of, I guess, your clients coming through?
I think it can be very, everyone's, it can be very empowering. As I said to you, if you go back to work or go back to do things, you get things done.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's like you're losing your identity. I think you have to think of like adolescence, matrescence. It's a transformative experience.
Nice.
So it's not forget your old one, but you are growing. You are, aging. So you will create a new identity,
Yeah, that's a nice way to put it.
I would say also the honesty of the conversation we're having makes, women navigate these phases with more confidence. It's the same of what you're saying with empowerment is we're going to say, I don't know, like you've just given birth, we put your baby on you and you might not feel that unconditional love everyone speaks about.
This is true.
And it's okay. And it's fine. And it will grow. And it doesn't mean you're not, going to fall in love with your baby or you're not a good mom. It doesn't mean that. It's still a stranger that you're meeting for the first time.
It's true. Yeah.
And you have your hormones that you can't control that are on there. So depending on the outcome of your birth.
Yeah.
And it's just having these tough conversations and these topics that are sometimes a bit more put to side and spoken conversation.
Yeah.
That I think makes women feel more at ease when they go through these stages.
Yeah. Okay. How do you hold space for both the physical side and the emotional side of becoming a mum? I don't know if that's more of a personal question to both of your experiences with having children, but how does that sit in the For Mamas universe as well?
Well, in the For Mamas, it's in terms of practicality we have also lots of well-being and mental health experts.
Nice.
So during each retreat, you will have a conversation about, how you might feel or, what you can expect in terms of, your mental health and as you said, identity shift, matrescence, navigating work-life balance, your relationship with your partners.
Yeah. With your friends.
Yeah. Fair.
Yeah.
Something about the friends. Yeah. It's true. Yes.
So that's terms of practical. So even when we build bespoke packages, we try and have something that is really related to the well-being and not just the physical recovery or support. Okay. In terms of day-to-day and personal, that's a bit different.
You're really good at self-care.
Yeah, I really try and have massages every couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Have my moments where I'm going to take my shower, put my moisturizer on, do my self, skin routine. It's those little moments.
I work next to my house.
Yeah.
So I went to back, which probably people will think is very quick. And I loved it. It's my way of being away from my kids and not feeling guilty or anything. It's I'm taking time for me. I love meeting new people, treating my patient. I think what I did postpartum, and I think that has stuck to me, is I said to my husband, is like, the only thing I want is once a day. I want to have a shower. I want to have the time in the bath, for, to have those rituals.
Yeah.
To have time, I'm going to breastfeed and stuff, but I need this half an hour where I can't hear the baby and I can calmly,
Yeah. Okay.
I think in terms of
alcohol helps a lot for me, dare I say. But having that, I'm going to share that story. So 2 nights ago, my husband was traveling and I was alone with my 2 girls.
Yeah.
And, they knew I was alone with them. And so they decided to, cry, shout, scream at the same time. So I had one crying, the other one, mama, don't put the baby down like you're my mama. No. Oh. So terrible. And Olivia texted me, say, are you okay? And I'm like, how do you know? Like, are you a witch? I just had the most crazy 2 hours. I'm like, and she just, next text was, are you having wine? And I sent her a picture of me like, how do you know?
I said is wine helping?
Is wine helping? How do you know? And I had my glass of wine. Yeah, I think I'm not saying drink, but I'm just saying these little moments of like, when you just sit on your couch, have that cigarette for those who smoke, that glass of wine, that, or stupid TV show, whatever, just helps you disconnect for a second.
I think I got reminded a few weeks ago, because I can get trapped in the loop of like work, kids and stuff. And I think you were someone, and it was amazing to like, just take time. So just take time for you, but write it down. I'm an organized person. So I was like, this is it. End of year when I start breastfeeding, there's a weekend away on my own with my girlfriend.
Nice.
Now there's 2 nights a month where I'm out. I'm not doing the tunnel of the 5 to 7.
Yeah. You have your gym every Sunday morning.
Exactly.
Love it. Yeah.
And I think this is a bit of a deviant topic, but I think in terms of like in relationship and like, I guess in work, life, family, friend balance, to be that organized, it's something you can lean on. It's a bit like you can lean on, and me as a practitioner, I can lean on from my mom and say, okay, this person I think will need benefit from that. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, and then For Mama teams take care of it.
That's nice, yeah.
And I think
what's your way of coping with it?
I'm definitely, I love to write things down. Lists. I love a checklist. I love lists. So I'm that person. And if I don't complete it all, that's fine. I move on to the next one and I kind of shift my priorities that way. I've definitely found since becoming a mum, if I don't write it down, I will forget.
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah.
And I never used to be like that. I used to be so, like, I love my recall. I love my memory. I'm an actor. I need to know my lines and things like that. So I felt like I had really pushed and flexed that muscle so amazingly. So to now find myself where, like, wait, what happened? Or what just happened? That drove me nuts. And if ever I'm getting into it with my partner, hi babe, hi Max. If we're arguing, whatever else, he's definitely someone who can be like, and this and this and this. And I typically am the same. But then I'm like, oh shit, I can't remember this and other, so I can't back my argument or I can't prove my point. So that was definitely another head thing to kind of figure out. But yeah, I'm definitely a write it down list kind of person. And I just love the feeling of like, okay, check, that's done.
Yes.
And then that's done. Very sad, but very me. And that's kind of what it is. With For Mamas, I know you're dealing with a host of different types of people, different backgrounds, ethnicities. How do you work on making things as culturally safe or as inclusive as possible?
Yeah.
As you said, no one size fits all. So how do you manage that space?
Yeah. It's a very good question. I would say trying to have a diverse team of experts, not just in terms of ethnical background, but also expertise, way of working, ethos. You know, a practitioner will suit you better and someone else would suit me better for lots of reasons. So it's very important to have, we're not looking to have 1,000 team members in our expert team, but having a good number that, you know, that have different approaches. And again, that trying bespoke personalized approach, trying to understand your needs, your concerns, and making sure, you know, we try and answer them as best as possible.
Being aware. Being really aware that everyone's needs is so different. You know, from ethnicity, cultural, anything, background, age. Actually, when you're an osteopath, you do those questionnaire and you have predisposing and maintaining factor. You know, it's a big thing when you look at the treatment plan. So it's the same when it comes to For Mama. I think actually, you know, any healthcare should take that in consideration.
You know, fair enough. I don't know if this is too big of a question to ask, but I wanted to understand, do you think that women are getting the type of perinatal care that they need? I know. I find so your face.
I'm just going to drink some water now.
Before you
the answer will be long.
Okay, that's fine. I was just trying to understand what that space is. I know in the Black community, we definitely have this, the whole 5 times more likely to have the difficulties or mortality when you're in the childcare or birthing space. And there are other challenges that other groups of people face as well. And I mean, I love the NHS. It's amazing. It's wonderful. I understand the challenges and pressures that they have and they face. So it's, when it comes to all things perinatal, I understand there may be that issue or push and pull of the time required per patient, per person. What are your thoughts on that? If you can elaborate.
I mean, I think, as you say, I think it's a deeper of a question. It's a, you know, society reframe. But I think, you know, you can fight and be like, you know, NHS doesn't provide this and this and that. And then whichever background you have, which, you know, there are some ways to access. Just, again, speak loud and, you know, there will be solution. I worked actually, when, you know, I told you I was studying not far from here.
Yes.
They have a whole clinic. They run a pre and pregnancy, you know, osteopathy clinic. So I think grab what you can, own your things. When you get married, you're spending a year. Or do you spend time on this? It's amazing.
The resources are there. It's how you find them. I think it's what and you're trying to say.
And that's what we created For Mama.
Yeah, For Mamas is really trying to be that one-stop destination where when you're having any struggle, you can come to us. And if we don't have the solution, we'll try and find it with you.
Yeah. Okay. So a more practical question. What's one thing pregnant women can do to feel more held or prepared if they were to start from today?
Our retreats.
Okay, of course. Check.
Don't wait. Don't expect. Don't say, but my next midwife appointment is in 20 weeks. Just go. Go speak to... proactivity on your health, proactivity on your lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know.
Find your people. Find your support network now. The person who's going to, either it's your partner, your
The
friends, your
text
family.
at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
You'll
Who are
find
you
those
going to
people.
text at 3 a.m.? Who is going to bring you food? Who is going to help you, maybe clean your house a little while you take a shower? It's not when you're in the heart of it that you need to find that person. It's before. So it's trying to kind of pinpoint who are these persons in your life. And it can be family members, friends, experts, other types of resources, NHS center, anything that exists around you that when you need it, you can lean on.
Yeah, I hear you. That's great. That's really good advice. Very practical. For mums who can't attend the retreat for whatever reason, how can they bring that retreat energy into their space or into their home?
We might have something coming.
Oh, okay. Nice. Exclusive. Okay, cool.
Working on it. We're working on
nice.
it. Yeah, it's again, the idea will be to bring that expert support and care at home. But yeah, we cannot say much more now.
That's cool. That's great. When it comes to the future, what is your future vision, I guess, for motherhood care? Like, what would be like the ultimate dream?
Yeah, it's if you take a dream question, like for every woman to be treated the way they want, but that's gonna take a while.
Some time.
It's not just relying on full mama; it's relying on a lot more. Yeah. But I think for women to realize that they have options and they are there, and keep on keep on not fighting, but keep on. Go get it. Go get it, girl. Go shout,
Yeah.
Talk. Don't be embarrassed, because it might not be full mama, but as we say, it might be like you might have an amazing midwife that has been doing for her job for 20 years, and you might have the same continuity in the NHS.
True.
Just try to find this. There are people, if you're nice, people will be nice, right? So
I think also the dream would be that we live in societies that motherhood can be very damaging at work.
Yeah, that's true.
And also we're having that conversation with a mum-to-be at the last retreat where she was saying that she feels the world is made for youth and young people. But when you become a mother, then you feel kind of left out of the conversation. And everything we're trying to do is put the mother back at the center of the conversation.
Yeah.
In other cultures, when you become a mom, you are, a goddess, and everything revolves around you, and we take care of you. And I think in the Western communities, we're missing that a lot, and it's really trying to bring that back. Yeah. For me, it's bringing back this ancient wisdom, or of placing the mother at the center of the story.
Yeah, that's great. No, it's true. That's nice. That is nice to hear. Right now, it kind of feels there's like this really strange energy or conversation points where motherhood is just, I'm frowning already, but it's just such a negative. Like, oh, you can't achieve your goals if you're a mom. You can't do this because you're a mom. Or why some people can kind of have this attitude or energy of, you're forever being told to become a mom, but what if I don't want to? It just, which is also fine, but there definitely just seems to be this weird negative sort of thing about it.
Yes. Are you not, like, I feel like I'm so much stronger and resilient. Yes. And 110%. My job, I'm thriving way more. And, there's so much more maturity. Yep. And I think, motherhood today, if we could do what, when the yoga was brought back from the East to the West, if motherhood can have the same shift,
I hear you.
Bringing all this wisdom, and this is what we're trying to bring in all this culture and adapt it to us.
And removing that guilt and judgment around it. If you don't want to breastfeed, that's okay. Don't breastfeed. If you want to have a planned C-section and not, that's okay. Do what works for you. And I think even in a safe space of, motherhood, you still have lots of judgment and expectations. Yeah. And it's ideally trying to remove those as well. Yeah,
it's really weird. It really makes me sit and just scratch my head. I'm like, all right, no one's forcing you to become a mum. It's okay. Yeah. But it's like, as you said, I feel I'm so much more empowered in a way that I didn't expect to be. And even looking at things from my creativity, it has changed and shifted and evolved in a way that I didn't know that it would. So it really does open up this whole new side to you. I'm also not telling you to go get knocked up like now, so take your time. But it's just incredible how much of an addition it has been. And
it's faster than therapy.
Yeah, right?
It's also okay.
No one ever says.
It's also okay if you become a mother and you'd realize you really just don't like it, or you need to be a mom every day from 6 to 6:30 to put your child to sleep. Like there's just no frame.
Yeah.
We live in this world that is like, yeah, you can have whatever frame, but they're still framing a bit.
Yeah.
There's just no frame. Motherhood is who you are.
Yeah.
So, and if you don't want to become a mom, fine, you can come and babysit when you have time. You know?
I'll lend you my baby.
That's it. That's fine. Okay, like a quick fire round. What's the one word you would use to describe your retreat vibe?
Empowering.
Oh, nice. How about you, Olivia?
I think caring.
Okay, nice. You can go away to relax in 10 minutes. What would you do? 10 minutes or less, what would you do?
It depends on my husband. I'm kidding. Cleaning.
Cleaning. I got it. Clear that out. How about you, Olivia?
I think I just lie down. I like the lying down.
Yeah, step. And then what's the one thing you wish every mama knew about themselves?
How strong they are.
So
Nice.
strong.
Yeah.
So resilient.
Yeah.
I agree.
And they are, at the end of the day, we're growing something.
Yeah.
You know, when you're little and you watch this butterfly, like the little, like the, how do you
Caterpillar.
call it? Caterpillar, we do the same.
Yeah. That's true.
It's a gift of life. So when I would love for them to know that when they are pregnant, they should just, there's all the excuse for them. They are like the queens.
I love it. Oh, that's amazing. I'll leave it there. Morgan, Olivia, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much for having us.
That was so powerful and just amazing to hear. And just a reminder, we can. I'm not going to swear as we close, but we can do this.
Yeah,
so,
we got this.
Yeah,
we got
go,
this.
Mama.
We got this.
Yeah. For sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that brings us to the end of this powerful conversation with the team from For Mamas. I hope you're leaving this episode feeling a little more seen, a little more supported, and reminded that you deserve care too at every stage of your motherhood journey. If you love this episode, don't forget to follow Milk on Mummies, leave a review, share it with another mama who needs to hear this today. You can find out more about For Mamas and their retreats and their offerings in all of the notes that I'll leave below. Until next time, rest up when you can, ask for help when you need it, and keep showing up just as you are. And remember, you've got this, mama.